So I wanted to bring this up with you, and this happened in between from when we set up the interview until now. But I figured this is the perfect. You'd be one of the perfect people to ask. So Liver King.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
God.
I know, but we have.
He's all natty. I'm standing by him.
You think he's natty?
I still think
You
he's
think
all
he's
natty.
natty?
I think those were doctored, those fucking emails.
Okay. So Liver King, he pushes this ancestral lifestyle, which is basically eat like
steroids. Traditional steroids. The ones like they used in the 80s, like Ultimate Warrior did.
Okay. Well, what I mean was, he pushes ancestral. He's fucking very funny. He pushes ancestral living, which is like, you know, eat cow balls and eat raw liver and eat all that. So before we get into the steroid stuff, what did you think about that angle of his? Well, now in my opinion, his grift.
Oh yeah, I mean, definite grift. Yeah, we're on the same page here. But the sad thing about the Liver King story is that actually a lot of what he's suggesting is good. I mean, he places emphasis, for instance, on going out in the sun, getting sunlight on your body, which is essential for vitamin D formation, which is a precursor for hormones, and it affects your mood, etc., your libido. I mean, it's a big thing. Lots of people are vitamin D deficient, and most people would benefit from getting more sun. He places a lot of emphasis on getting proper sleep, and again, sleep is an incredibly important part of being a healthy person. I mean, there are studies that show, for instance, that if you sort out your sleep, if you go from sleeping 5 hours a night to sleeping 7 or 8, you can double your testosterone levels. There are actual studies that have quantified that. I mean, it has that big of an effect. It's that important. So a lot of the stuff that he's saying is good. Eating organ meat, yes, is good. I mean, you don't need to eat, like he says he does, 2 pounds of liver a day. I mean,
that seems like a lot.
Yeah, you're cruising for a bruising when you do that, because there's a lot of copper in liver, and what you don't want is copper toxicity. There's a lot of vitamin A in liver too.
Right.
I mean, I think that generally that the recommended daily intakes of vitamins are probably vitamins and minerals are probably much too low than they should be. But even so, 2 pounds of liver is excessive. I mean, I don't know exactly what benefits consuming testicles would have. I mean, I suppose what you're trying to do is you're trying to consume the steroid hormones that are produced in the testicles. So it might have some kind of effect, I'm sure. But so yeah, so that kind of stuff, the stuff bar the steroids, I think, is a lot of it would actually benefit you know, men who aren't in the best shape, men who want to improve their lives. And also some of it will probably be quite good fun too, I think. But yes, it's the steroid thing that is the elephant in the room, and always was.
It's unfortunate that you can't, like, to me, I've always lived my life as kind of an open book, and to me, it's like when you don't hide these major things, I think people are more or less willing to let it go. Like Royce made the point of, like, if he had just from day one been like, hey, do all these things, they're great for you. But also, between you and me, I'm also like fucking
right
and stuff. You know what I mean? I think people would have been more prone to go, because I think, like, even if you're anti-steroid or if you're pro-steroids, whatever, I'm willing to take advice from a guy who also happens to take steroids, because he's probably doing countless other things to you know what I mean? You don't just do steroids and look magically good.
Yeah,
so this guy obviously has fucking really good input. He probably has really good advice aside from the steroids. So if he'd just been up front and been like, yeah, look, I take HGH and steroids too, but this is my, like, I still eat, like, how many guys do you see that online there are influencers that'll admit that and then also go, you know, like, more plates, more dates. A good example of a guy that's like, look, I'll tell you all my fucking experiences doing different shit, but some, you know, you don't have to do the steroid, but you can also take the advice. Like, I do some of the more plates, like his hair loss advice. Like, I'm taking the same shit he does now. You know, there's some good advice out there to be had by some people.
It didn't work for me.
Well, you waited too long.
Yeah, I know. But so going back here to Liver King, I do believe that it's more of a, I think if you're up front, people do that. My biggest issue, and I wonder what you think about this, is you're selling false hope to people. Because, you know, of course, I think most adults would have been. I mean, I wasn't shocked he was on steroids. I think most people with the eyeball test would be like, yeah, that guy's on steroids. He's like 45. That's, you know, it's really hard to keep that low body fat and that much muscle at that age. It's not that you can't be in great shape. You can, but it's just I'm like, okay, that's clearly steroids. But I think the issue is when you're pushing supplements, when you're pushing stuff and going, you could be just like me. Then the issue is, and you have 18, 19-year-old kids that give up. You know.
Yeah. Well, the thing, actually, you know, I wrote a piece about Liver King at the beginning of the year that I didn't run because I thought, or I was told that he might be appearing in The End of Men with me. So, right, I thought, well, it would probably be you know, be a bad idea for me to shit where I eat. So I didn't run the piece. But the piece was actually about. Well, the piece was about the fact that, you know, Liver King talks about honoring his ancestors, and you talk about the 9 ancestral tenets, and it is about honoring your ancestors and the way that they lived. But then your life is a lie. I mean, there's probably nothing that annoys people in traditional societies more than telling lies.
Yeah.
You know, like you're not a trusted member of the tribe if you go around telling lies. So that's kind of what I was talking about in that piece in particular. But yeah, I mean, he is selling people false hope. He has been saying to people, if you do the 9 ancestral tenets, if you follow the 9 ancestral tenets, you can look like me. I mean, the man's what, 45, 48?
45.
Yeah, 45. I mean, you know, I mean, that's a hell of a claim, and yet people will believe it because, first of all, because people don't know enough about steroids and about performance enhancing drugs, because so many people are on them and so many people lie. And second of all, I just think that, I mean, a teenager looking at him will think, man, I really want to be like that. Yeah, I believe him. You know, look at him, look at his crazy lifestyle. This is so cool. You know, I can just look like him if I do all this stuff. And then, yes, you end up actually doing more harm than good, because really what you want to tell an 18-year-old is, you know, you're in the prime of your life. No, you won't look like me because I take steroids, but you can actually, you know, have a great physique and feel great about yourself, but you won't look like me because you're not spending $11,000 a month on growth hormone.
That was the other thing. First off, you're overpaying, but secondly, that was like even if it's $8,000 a month, right? Let's say on human growth hormone, and then it was testosterone. It was a couple other things, and it's okay for me. Again, here's the other one. The Rock is another one, right? Like The Rock is another one that bothers me for the same reason, which is, look, is Rock on steroids? Absolutely. If I'm lying, sue me, okay? Rock, go prove that you're not. But The Rock's on steroids, obviously.
Wait, I was told on Instagram it was because he grinds hard.
Oh, you're right. He rises and grinds. I forgot about the grinding. And by the way, The Rock is a genetic freak. Even when he was playing football in college, he was a genetic freak. But what bothers me is that then he's pushing. Oh, look, this is my energy drink, and you could look like me, and all you have to do is make sweaty videos in the gym and with chains on your. And it's like, okay. People look at that and then see my problem with that stuff is then I think I agree with you, Roy. It has the inverse effect, because a lot of people are like, I'm not progressing fast enough. Then an 18, 9-year-old fucks up their entire endocrine system by taking steroids at 19. And that's another problem that I actually wouldn't mind talking about, the influencers and how many 18, 19-year-old, 20-year-olds are hopping on steroids, like, and ruining their lives, in my opinion. Because it's the fitness industry, because of Gymshark, because of people like this, because of the people like The Rock that push this false, you know, sense of hope. And then these same influencers that take steroids would be like, hey guys, don't forget to get vaccinated and boosted. It's like, go fuck off. All right, man.
I have to correct you on one thing, though. The Rock is not a genetic freak. He's half black, half Samoan. He's a genetic exactly what he was supposed to be.
Okay, that's fair enough.
He's not exactly a freak of nature. His dad was Rocky Johnson.
That's the point. Yeah, he's Samoan.
He's
that's
related
a good point.
to the wild Samoans.
That's a really good point. But I think that's just what I guess in a broader term, have you noticed an uptick on these influencers that are clearly using pharmaceuticals and pushing, I don't know, man, all these pre-workouts and all these chemicals and all that stuff?
Well, there was a More Plates, More Dates video about teens on TikTok who were obviously, well, I say who were saying that they were doing SARMs. So SARMs are a newer class of performance enhancing drug that are like steroids. They were developed originally as anti-cancer drugs or anti-muscle wastage drugs, rather, for cancer patients. And it was discovered that they actually, they have really serious anabolic effects, and they're legal for the most part. I think one of the places that they're not legal is Australia, but otherwise they're legal in the US because they can be sold as research chemicals. So it's easy for people to get. It's easy for teenagers to get them. It's easy for anybody to get them. So yeah, a lot of teenagers are hopping onto SARMs and other stuff, and it's a shame because what they're doing is they're sacrificing their newbie gains. They're getting their newbie gains in record time rather than in 2 years. They get them in 6 months or whatever, and then yes, they're ruining their endocrine systems. But it's a sad thing to see influencers who are so obviously on performance enhancing drugs shilling some kind of pre-workout as the key to getting a shredded physique and looking like an Instagram model or an action film star or something like that, when in fact actually the real secret is that they're on whatever they're on. They're either on steroids or test or SARMs or a combination of things. It's so well, I mean, they're just lying, I mean, it's all built on deception.
So you mean if I take BCAAs in my pre-workout, I'm not going to look like the Liver King?
Oh God!
Is that why I don't look like him?
That's why.
No, you know what it is? I don't take enough BCAAs.
You don't take enough BCAAs. That's what the problem.
You know what they say? They say more is always better.
Yeah. Also, another good channel that covers this, and I don't know if you've seen it, Shredded Science.
I've seen some videos. Yeah,
he's pretty good about calling all that stuff out. But I do think that it's the Pfizer rates, like we said at the very beginning, where it's everything is just take the chemical way out. There's a chemical way out. There's a drug. There's a chemical. There's a drug. And instead of doing the thing, at least, look, I'm not going to pretend that even if you live everything perfectly and you eat perfectly and get all the sleep, that you're going to look like someone that's genetically enhanced. But it kind of feels like it's just the easy way out. It's a cheat code. It's I think in general a loss of patience in society too, right? Like, would you rather bust your ass for like 10 years to get in peak condition, or do a 12-week cycle with Ryan Reynolds trainer so you look like Deadpool?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's true, and also again, it's another instance of people being sold treatments, remedies, whatever you want to call them, without actually having a full appreciation of the side effect profile. I mean, if you could show an 18-year-old what his life would be like with a totally ruined endocrine system, then he probably, well, he might still take it, he might not. But I mean, Ronnie Coleman obviously is a salutary story. What's happened to him? I mean,
it's so sad.
He's a wreck.
Watching him with the one of the, talk about somebody else who was forget steroid before the steroids, was a genetic freak. To see him having to be on walkers now, like using hand walkers, is so sad, because he is, that. And I also, from every story you hear, one of the nicest guys too. Really nice guy, and he fucked himself up, and I think that's what happens. That's what happens with a lot of people. But I mean, it's that bigger, stronger, faster. But in reality, it's like you said. That's a really good point. If you had a time machine, if you could do like a Christmas story and be like, look, you're gonna have great abs at 19, and also it's a waste because you have peak testosterone when you're 18, 19, 20 years old. So you're right. You're wasting what God already gave you. So now,
I'm about to hit 40. I think I'm going to start on a baseball player amount of steroids.
Okay, Mark
that's
McGwire.
That's the sweet spot. A baseball player amount of steroids.
Well,
you don't want to do NFL amounts. You don't want to do like you know what I mean, pro fighter amount. Just a baseball amount.
What I'm going to do is I'm Cuban, so I'm going to do the Sammy Sosa thing where he turned himself white. I'm
going
to take that, whatever that was. I'm going to do white Sammy.
Yeah, that looked
Sosa.
great.
Yeah, he looked natural. He looked fantastic.
He looked as natural as this guy.